everyone, welcome back to Eden. How are you all doing? I hope you're all doing great. So today we'll be discussing about timeline diagrams. Before we start with the session, please do like, share and subscribe. So today's topic is timeline diagram. So we have been discussing about verbs, right? So verbs are nothing but they are related to tenses. Okay, tense is again nothing but time. Okay, so with respect to time we will be telling about events. Okay, whatever the events happened, we'll be mentioning or telling about it with respect to time. So here today we'll be seeing how to draw a timeline diagram. What this timeline diagram is exactly. Okay, so we know that time here we are representing it with like what is happening at the moment, which we call it as present. What already happened is the past and what is about to happen is the future. So there are three tenses we can say, that is past, present and future. So with the help of a diagram, we will be able to represent the tenses in such a way that it will be easy to understand the tenses, right? So how to draw them first of all? What is this timeline diagram? It is just a line diagram wherein we will be representing the past, present and future on a single line, and we will be trying to represent our events or aspects according to the situation. So there are different types of aspects which are present in the tense. So we will be seeing about all that. So basically this timeline diagram is easy to understand. The main purpose of studying this is to understand and represent the tenses on a line diagram. So how to draw them? So how to draw a timeline diagram? So you know whatever is happening at the moment, okay, that we are taking it as present, which will be represented with a vertical line. Okay, so the vertical line represents things happening now, that is nothing but present. On to the left of this, now on this vertical line cutting this, draw a horizontal line. The left of this will represent the past, that indicates what happened before the present, and ahead of what is happening now, ahead of what is happening now is the future. So this is the basic, like we are basic x-axis and y-axis. We will be taking the timeline diagram in such a way that what is happening, the zero axis is nothing but the present. What had happened in the past is the past, that is on the left side, that is we will be considering the what to say, while we do integers and all, we will be representing it. In the same way here also what had happened is like ahead of what is happening now, that is in the future, that will be going ahead of present, and behind is the past that had already happened. So this is the basic structure. Now if we want to represent tenses, how to represent tenses on this timeline diagram? So first thing which we will be considering here is how to represent an event. So when we are saying there is an event occurring, that can be like present, simple present, that is the aspects which we are talking about, simple present or continuous or perfect continuous. Okay, so when we are talking about aspects, how to represent them? So simply the events which take place are represented with, the aspects are to be represented with an X, with an X mark. So how to represent them, what happened, when it happened and all, depends upon the situation again. Suppose this is an event happened, okay, this is a single event happened. Suppose if there are multiple events, you will be representing it with so many X's, right? Now this is single event. Now if it is a progressive means continuous event which is happening. It started somewhere and it is still going on, an action. Now what am I doing now? I am teaching. It is a progressive action, that means it is happening, the aspect is still happening, it is progressive in nature. So when it is progressive in nature, how to represent it? So progressive aspects are represented, they can be represented like this. or They can otherwise be represented with a single line. This indicates that it started somewhere and it is still continuing. Okay, so this is about representing progressive events. Now if you want to represent perfect aspect. Perfect aspect means always with respect to two events. Perfect tense or perfect aspect will be considered with respect to two events. One which already happened or the other one which is happening at the time the other one happened, finished, completely happened. Two events with respect to two events I said. Suppose the doorbell rang while I was teaching. While I was teaching, the doorbell rang. That means while I was still teaching, the teaching is still in process, that is still in continuous process, it is progressive. It is progressive in nature, it is in progression. Okay, but what happened? Doorbell rang, that got finished, that got completed. That event is over. So two events happened here. Two events or two aspects occurred here. One is the doorbell rang, the other one is I was teaching. So two events occurred and with respect to one another, one is continuous, the other one is completed. So that is a perfect aspect. So when you want to represent a perfect aspect, we should know whether at what time, whether we know the particular time or not, whether the event happened in a particular time or whether we don't know when it occurred. So if we know where a particular event happened, we'll represent it with a cross, the event, and on that we will be mentioning it, last night or anything like that. It is not seen. Or if we don't know where the event occurred, then we will put a question mark. Okay, so these are the things how to represent. Now we will see. Suppose if an event happened in the past, you will simply represent it like this. I have told you events are represented with an X mark. So if it happened in the past, it is represented in the past time scale and with an X. Now if we don't know in the past when it happened, if we don't know when it happened in the past, we will put a question mark like this. That means we don't know the time, but it happened in the past. Now suppose if we exactly know when it happened, okay, like yesterday. Suppose if it happened yesterday. So in the past, it happened yesterday. So this is an event which happened, completed, finished event. Okay, so this is a simple event representation. Now, suppose if we want to represent an ongoing event. An ongoing event. So like I have said, when an event is in progressive or progression, it will be represented like this. Means it is continuing. We don't know when it started and we don't know when it will end. But it is, at the moment, it is still going on. Now if we don't know when it started, we'll put a question mark. Otherwise, if we know with respect to time, suppose it started at 11 p.m. Okay, suppose if it started at 11 p.m. and now it is going on. So that indicates the exact time. So this is an action which is in progression. The other way of representation, as I have told you, you can represent it like this also. Okay. Now, if you know now coming to the perfect aspect. So when we are saying perfect aspect with respect to two, like I said, I was teaching while the doorbell rang. I was teaching while the doorbell rang. So suppose the doorbell rang. The doorbell rang while I was teaching. I don't know when I started teaching. This is the event. It is still continuing. I was teaching. This is teaching event. I was teaching. And in between, here this is a completed action. Doorbell rang. Okay, so the doorbell rang while I was teaching. So here with respect to two events, you will be representing. This is a perfect aspect. So since I don't know when it started, you will be putting a question mark on top. Okay, so this is how the timeline diagrams are represented for tenses in particular. So what are the things which are needed for representing them? So how to draw them, how to represent them, and here when there are two aspects, you can even use colors to represent, to just identify or to just represent it in a different way, so that they are two different events. This is one event, this is second event. Okay, so this can be represented with two different colors. So that also can be used while representing a line diagram of a tense. So in the forthcoming videos, I will be doing about tenses with the help of diagrams as well, and in normal way even. Okay, so I hope you understood this, and we'll meet in the next video. Thank you.